Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a new week of the Rundowns. This is the Manic Monday edition, the Monday edition of the Rundown. Good afternoon to you. My name is Mike Porsche. I will be trying to host it, although it appears as though 10% of my words are going to be incorrect if we're going to set the standard with so far.
That's right, Mike. I am your co-host, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the left coast. It is Monday. It is Manic Monday. And yeah, you're right. You appear to be having issues with your words.
The words is they be coming out wrong.
The words is has to work on that diction.
Oh, I didn't say anything about diction. It's a family show.
See, you went there. Diction, diction is actually a word. And
Sure.
It don't mean what you implied it means.
Oh, okay. Let's let the FCC decide. So, well, sir, how was your weekend? How did things fare for you out there in wet California?
It went exactly as planned. I did absolutely nothing constructive.
Nice.
That was the plan, and I followed through.
Yeah. Very goodly. Very goodly. Glad it worked out for you. Glad it worked out for you.
I don't get many weekends like that, so when I do, I tend to enjoy them.
Were you near any of the latest mudslides or catastrophes going on?
Not near any mudslides, but it's one of those things, man, where in California, the first big rain of the year, everybody loses their minds as if they've never dealt with rain before. It's like, let's see. If you know the rain is coming, how about this? How about you make sure all your drains are clear and uncovered? How about you make sure that your gutters are cleaned out?
Yeah.
And then when driving down the street, realize that, during the first rain after a full summer, a little bit of oil comes up from through the ground. How about you drive a little bit slower? How about this?
Right.
If you can't do that, don't drive at all.
Yep. I understand. We had speaking of the driving, it was homecoming weekend at my daughter's school, and we let her go by herself. She went by herself to it, and because she's one of those. She shows up and they do the group of things together kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, as we're sitting there and trying to maintain calmness at the house, the alert comes across the phone that there's a 22 car pileup with 17 injured, critical mass casualty event going to the hospital, and it's on the road that she's traveling to school. And you're like, okay, that's it. When she gets home, she's never leaving home again. It's just that was the first time. It was the first big commitment of okay, let her go, and that turned into a 22 car pileup with 17 in a mass casualty event.
The fact that she was nowhere near it had nothing to do with the fact that she is now staying home.
It's the roadway she travels. It was just a little bit further down the roadway where the incident occurred. So, it doesn't matter. She's home now. She's gonna be homeschooled. Yeah, that's
because as a parent, in your mind, she was at the epicenter of it.
Mine, not just the epicenter, but mine probably caused it and went through it and received no indication at all that there was even an accident behind her.
Probably so.
So that's probably what mine does. Yeah, it's like throwing the banana peel out the window. I'll just throw the banana peel out the window; it'll be fine. 22 cars in a crash behind her because of the banana peel.
Oh man, see you and your Warner Brothers cartoons imagery.
You've never thrown a banana peel out the car window before and seen that happen behind you? Cars just go spinny, crashy. But we get the same thing in Florida. Once it rains and it hasn't rained in a while, Craig, everybody loses their mind and forgets how to drive. Absolutely right.
The media tells them they should all be freaked out. And, I would think they should be celebrating. We're in the middle of a drought.
Yeah.
How about this? The rain dance worked.
That's right. And do you know why the rain dance works?
Because it eventually rains.
Because they dance until it rains. Exactly right. That's why it always works. How long do we have to dance until it rains? Well, okay then. That's guaranteed to work 100% of the time.
Exactamundo.
All right, sir. Well, I guess we should probably traverse our path over to the news side of the program. So let's. I know that I saw this story this weekend, and I said, "Oh man, I'm sending this one to Craig before he can send it to me because I know he loves this story." the Facebook folks, Greg, this weekend, employees there revealed that, oh yeah, no, we absolutely we suppress conservative views. Now you had this to you, Craig, happen on one of the other programs that you do here on the interwebs.
Yes. So Morning Coffee with Craig, we hadn't even been doing it a year, and it was growing. It was growing on Facebook by leaps and bounds, and we were still not quite catching on YouTube yet. But it was growing by leaps and bounds, and we were adding subscribers, we were adding folks, adding viewers, live viewers every week. And then all of a sudden, it just dropped. Our numbers just dropped off of a cliff, and we couldn't figure out why. Our numbers as an organization were still growing on Facebook, and then we were getting things from people who were saying, "Look, it's not popping up in my feed anymore, and nobody, I'm not getting any notifications that it's actually there." And one time, I was sharing it with somebody. I had taken the code, the link, and I was sharing it, and I noticed that in the code in the link it said explicit. Well, on a show, I mean, almost never used 4-letter words.
Diction.
It would almost never use 4-letter words. We didn't talk about violence. We didn't talk about sex. It was literally, in fact, the only time we really talked about firearms and guns was in relation to policy. It made absolutely no sense that it would be explicit. But then not long after that, Project Veritas had actually done a video where they had an insider from Facebook who showed how they were throttling conservative live feeds. And now what they're saying is they weren't just doing it to Joe Blow, pro-gun, pro-conservative, pro-traditional values people. They were doing it to major news outlets. Which, while I would have liked to have believed that we were a major news outlet, we're not the OANs, the Newsmaxes, the New York Posts.
Yep.
We're not on that level. We weren't on that level yet. But dude, it's what's funny to me is that the New York Post is now just writing about it. It's like, yeah, this is nothing new.
Yeah, it is interesting that they chose this time 3-4 years later after it was at its height of occurring that I guess maybe one of their stories must have been affected by it, Craig, and all of a sudden it's now news for them. So it was pretty interesting that it was brought up this weekend, and I tried to backtrack to find out what story they might have put out that got throttled, and I couldn't find any direct link. But there's. Maybe it's because the way they're looking at it and they're seeing all news is down now that they're going to blame Facebook for it. Like, what was the other story I saw this week? CNN has yet to pass the 1 mark on the ratings in the past 6 months or something along those lines.
No, because they don't have Donald Trump to kick around anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact is, and the worst part is that they're on top of it. They're taking it incredibly easy on Joe Biden. Everyone knows that Joe Biden is unfit for service. Yeah. And CNN refuses to actually talk about it, refuses to actually point it out. And they do. In fact, they seem to go out of their way to cover it up.
Yeah.
But what are the other things that I think the reason why you have folks talking about it, or people at Facebook talking about it now, is because, for example, that leaker, the person who came out and said that, that they didn't believe that she didn't believe that they were suppressing conservatives enough. And I think this is Facebook trying to get some liberal street cred to say, oh yeah, we're throttling conservatives. We're making sure those people who are out there providing misinformation.
That's right.
If you're conservative, you're clearly providing misinformation.
And we know that's what happens, right?
And controlling them.
We know that's what happens. This is not just the oppression of conservative views. This is the disinformation. This is the lies of the conservative views. Once you put a conservative view out there, and then the box comes up and says, "And this information is false. It's false because these reasons." And you read it, and you're like, "What in the hell are they talking about?" It's got the lady and her cat over at Snopes, trying to claim that these are lies. This is what really COVID information is. It's absolutely horrible. It goes the opposite direction.
Like there was one that came. There's one meme, one picture that's been circulating, and it's the picture of the gas prices in San Diego.
Yeah,
and it's being throttled, and they're providing it. Well, needs context, and here's why. It's you are
it's a gas station
throttling the news. You are literally fact checking memes. And in some cases, they do it on memes and they provide context that has nothing to do with what's actually in the meme.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
It's like,
correct.
wait a minute. No, but no one said that. No
Right.
one implied that. What are you
Yeah.
people over at Facebook talking about? And when I share this information with some of my liberal friends, they don't see it. And I said, of course, because you folks don't get throttled. You folks don't get censored. Even no matter how
Yeah.
false the information you put out there is.
Yep. Yep. Exactly right. Yep. All right. Well, let's move along. Oh, great. Before we first move along, though, here's my impression of Joe Biden's town hall this week. All right, folks, if you take a look over here. Oh, look, my hand. That's weird. What is my? It's got all these fingers and what is? Hey, where am I? Did you see him this weekend? Did you see the town hall?
Kafka.
Did you
What am I doing here?
did you see him with his hands? He was like, "Whoa,
In the port
Where'd these come
of
from?"
Los Angeles and what am I doing here?
Pudding.
I mean, folks, don't get me wrong. I have respect for senior citizens, and I realize what he's going through is probably very, very tough. Dementia is a very, very tough thing to deal with, I would imagine. But folks, there are millions upon there are a bunch of people out there who put this guy up to be president, and you knew he was like this before that. You knew this is where he would. You knew this was going to happen. And I'm sorry, I'm not making fun of him. I'm making fun of all of you who voted for him.
I'm making fun of him a little too, though. I am. I'm making fun of all the people that voted for him and him, kind of.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
That's it. I'll say I'll do them both. All right. Let's move on to Captain Florida. Let's talk a little Governor DeSantis. Craig, this is great. We talked Friday about a local mayor, one of the larger mayors, larger population mayors. I guess he's average size. One of the mayors here in Florida, who decided he wanted to challenge Governor DeSantis. They fired a fire chief because he did not believe in mandatory vaccinations. Governor came to his defense. Mayor said, "Bring it on." Okay, right. Well, so here's another step in the bring it on process. First off, we know that the governor here has called for emergency legislation, so they'll be meeting this week, calling the legislature back to session, and they're going to clearly pass a law that says vaccination mandates are illegal, and they'll probably write in there also that any head of any agency that authors such or pushes forward such or continues to enforce such shall be subject to removal from office, because our governor, if you screw up, he will take you out of office. He's done it with the sheriff. He's done it with 2 supervisors of elections. He's done it with the state attorney. So he's got no problem pulling your butt out. And then guess what? They never hear from you again. So another part of the bring it on, right? Now that we're short of people that are willing to work already in the public service industry, whether it be nurses, police, or firemen, right? So we already have a shortage. The governor's already given those healthcare workers, those first responders, $1,000 bonus last year, right? Earlier this year for last year's service is what it was under COVID. And now you have this mayor who's firing people for not having vaccination in the first responder industries. So what does the governor do? He goes on national media and says, "Oh, if you're somewhere else in the country and you've refused vaccination and they're going to fire you, don't worry. Florida, we don't have that, and we'll give you a $5,000 bonus to come here." So the governor's now going to stick all of these people that come from other states onto people like this mayor who say, "Oh, you're short? Here's qualified people, and I'm giving them a bonus to come there, and there's no longer a mandate." Did I bring it enough for you, Mr. Mayor?
Well, it's not just that. It's, that Florida is going to do whatever they can to try and pass laws also that are going to protect law enforcement's ability to actually do their job.
Yes.
Because it's not, we know that people are retiring in droves, not just because of the vaccine mandate, but because many places, many municipalities, and in a number of states are passing laws, putting in place regulations that are making it very difficult for those who are tasked with enforcing our laws to actually be able to do it. I'm all for accountability, and I'm all for accountability of law enforcement. But having said that, we ought not be asking them to do their jobs with both of their hands tied behind their back, and their retirement and their future and their families, and by the way, their freedom on the line should they make a mistake. That's just, or let me clarify, should they do their job? Because in many cases, they want to go after them just for doing their job, not even for making a mistake.
Right.
We need to hold everybody accountable, but those to whom we give authority, we definitely need to hold accountable. And that includes law enforcement. Guess what? That also includes politicians who seem to be skating on a lot of this, because if you want to look at whether it's our economy or whether it's the increase in crime and murder and all of that, a lot of that I place at the feet of left-wing policymakers.
Absolutely. I've said it before. If police, fire, and government services, first responder services are going to be subject to qualified immunity, so should all of the politicians and judges as well.
Exactly.
They should not have blank. They should not have
That's how it
blanket
should work
immunity.
anyway.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, but we know that won't be the case.
No. All right, let's move right along here. I want to talk a little baseball. Congratulations to the Atlanta Braves for moving along to the World Series. They've got the World Series berth starts tomorrow night, I believe it is Tuesday. I think the Astros are the other team, but that's American League Baseball, so it doesn't really count. So we don't have to talk about them. The two little stories come out of there. The first one, which I thought was pretty neat, was we've known since the All-Star game who in baseball was siding on the side of this the vaccination policies, and as well as the remember the election issue, the election law update that occurred in Atlanta and Georgia when the law was passed. The commissioner of baseball, and I'll throw this piece of crap under the bus all day long, Rob Manfred, who's as liberal and as woke as the day is long. He decided that he got a couple of himself, a couple of the other liberal owners in baseball, which was 8, by the way, 8 out of 30. He got to agree with them and said, that's enough. We're moving the All-Star game to Denver. Denver, the 76% white population, as opposed to the 51% black population of Atlanta. They decided they were going to show Georgia, yeah, we're going to take the game away from you and send it somewhere else. And all they really did was punish the African-American citizens and business owners of Georgia who, voted for the law in the first place. So that occurred. Well, while that occurred this past weekend, the former gubernatorial candidate, Stacey Abrams, who likes to call herself the president of Georgia, by the way, and the current governor, Kemp, he tweeted out there, well, we couldn't go to the All-Star game in Denver. Looks like we're going to just bring the whole World Series to Atlanta instead. Sorry, Stacey Abrams, you couldn't force us. You couldn't take that away from us. And that started the little firestorm there between the two of them in Twitter's world, going back and forth. And it was directly against Major League Baseball as well, because the two of them conspired, Stacey Abrams and Major League Baseball's Rob Manfred, conspired to take the All-Star game out of Atlanta for one reason being Stacey Abrams' political future.
Well, which then begs the question, are the Braves going to have to play all of their home games in Denver?
Yeah, right. And that's the little slap at the commissioner's office, right? And the commissioner's office is now like, leave me alone. Don't talk to me. It's been fun. It's been very fun. The second one, the Braves and the Braves ownership did this week to let Major League Baseball know you might be the ruling, administrative body in charge of baseball, but the Braves are my frickin' team and I'm the owner. Is for opening the game 2 days ago, where they clinched the World Series berth, they brought in singer Travis Tritt. Travis Tritt is a Georgia native. He has been opposed to, since day one, mandatory vaccinations. Let's be clear on that. He is he believes that if you want to get a vaccination, you can get a vaccination, but government mandates for vaccinations is unconstitutional. That has been his stance the whole time. Well, Major League Baseball stance is that you have to make sure that you have everybody must have vaccinations or cards that say no, or you must wear masks and you must still social distance. They're still very much into this control over the COVID thing. And when asked about having somebody on the field, because here's the rule when it comes down to the Major League Baseball rule is everyone on the field must be vaccinated. Everyone that touches the field. Craig, it doesn't matter if it's the players, the umpires, the grounds crew, or the fire department, or the police when they're out there doing security. Everyone must have it. And here's what the Braves' response was when they said Travis Tritt, the unvaccinated Travis Tritt, will be on the field for the national anthem. The Braves went, Oh yeah. We'll make sure we're going to do all those policies. We're going to do that. Said, well, you know that Travis Tritt is not vaccinated, right? And they're like, oh yeah. Don't worry about it. We're all good. It was just funny the way the Braves responded with we got this handled. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it at all.
Dude,
it reminds me, Craig. Did you see the movie? I'm sure you did. Weekend at Bernie's. When they're standing there, Silverman is standing there with I forget the other actor's name, but when Bernie's body falls off the balcony into the dirt, into the sand, on the beach, and the kid down below just starts burying Bernie. And they're like, "Hey, kid, get away from him! Get away from him!" And they're like, "He's like, you talking to me?" He's like, "Get away from him! You talking to me?" And he just never stopped doing what he was doing. And that's what the Braves are doing to the league right now. You talking to us? Oh yeah, you don't worry about what we're doing. You talking to us? Don't worry about it.
Hey, you worry about you.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I just, dude, here's the thing. I just think this is phenomenal. And I think it's important that there be pushback. The hard part is that you see Major League Baseball do what they did, and it becomes real easy to blame all of Major League Baseball. You take a look at what the NFL did, and it's real easy to blame all of the NFL. The only league that when I look at it that I see that fully across the board went full 100% woke was the NBA. They were the ones that every team seemed to just jump in and buy in, and it was all good. In the NFL, it was the commissioner's office and a number of teams, and there are a number of teams pushed back. In Major League Baseball, it was the commissioner. It wasn't even necessarily everybody, and a majority of the teams pushed back. But it's important for people. I mean, for me, once again, the reason why I still watch NFL is because my Cowboys have pushed back against it. And if it hadn't been for that, I'd have stopped watching them the same way I stopped watching the Sacramento Kings, because they went full bore into wokeness. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to support that. Not with my recreational leisure time. I'm just not going to do it.
Right. Let me point this out too. I mean, people understand this. How much of a drive this was for the Braves to have the commissioner's office take the All-Star game away from them. Okay.
Right.
So that's a guaranteed thing. They knew the All-Star game was going to be there 3-4 years ago. All right. Well, the Braves sucked this year. All right. Until the after the All-Star break. Up before the All-Star break, there's five teams in the National League East. The Braves were in fourth place. Fourth place. They were going nowhere. The season was over. The season was nothing. All right. The Mets were clearly in the lead. This was nothing. All right. When they took the All-Star game away from them, ownership, the president, Alex Anthopoulos, Bobby Cox, who's still on staff there, they went out and said, you know what? F it. Let's go for it. Let's go for it. They went against all baseball rules. Okay, they were too far out to do anything about it. They went out aggressively and found player after player after player and said, "We got one thing we're going for, and that's World Series."
Dude, I'm telling you right now, if they win the World Series, or even who cares? They won the pennant. So I think this would make a great movie.
Listen, to win the World Series. All right. You have to win 11 postseason games. Unless you're a wild card team, then you got to win one more. 11 postseason games you have to win. The All-Star game took one game away, all right? The postseason games, those 11 games are the biggest games ever. Right. And so far, the Braves have taken 7 of them in their home ballpark, and now they get another 4 more. They get another 3 more. They get in their home ballpark. They told Major League Baseball, fine, you want to take 1 game from us? We're going to take 11 back from you.
I'm officially rooting for the Braves.
And they went from, like I said, second to last to first place. At the All-Star game, they had a 7% chance of making the World Series. Guess who's there now?
Yep. Yeah,
It is a movie kind of thing.
Here's the folks over there in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's it. To Atlanta. Go Bravos. Whoa. Chief Nakahoma, which they got rid of, by the way.
Oh, there you go. Back to racial sensitivity training.
Yeah, that's it. They got rid of Chief Nakahoma.
We're not, you're going to put your position as our racial sensitivity trainer. You're putting that in jeopardy. You realize that, right? Every time.
Well, listen, the only way you can be aware of what's going on is if I take you to the edge, right?
There you go.
It's the only way.
This is what not to do.
If it's a boring class, you're not going to remember the information. You know, you have to have something that remembers it. Craig, I tell you what, we are running close on the gun here, up on time. You want to push the next one for tomorrow, or you want to do it today?
Let's go through it, man. We're good.
Okay. All right. Okay. Good. I do have a quote here. I want to show you what happened here, folks. Is really good. A really good thing in Illinois. We've had Cook County, which is the county that's Chicago. There, if anybody's watched the Blues Brothers, they understand the Cook County tax appraiser or property appraiser's office there. That's where they go to pay the check at the end of the bill for the church. They filed this is 2012, I believe this law that says every firearm transaction is going to have a $25 tax, and every cartridge sold is going to have a 1 to 5 cent tax. That was passed a little bit later on in 2015. So now, Craig, that's an awful long time. That's 9 years on one and 6 years on the other. You would think with such a long period of time in between when those actions occurred, and this was filed by the way, the lawsuit was filed by Gun Save Lives, that getting this before the Supreme Court was probably one of those things that was delayed because there wasn't much of a chance that it was going to pass, that nobody cared. Well, this goes before the Illinois Supreme Court, and it's not a squeaker. It's not even close. 6-0 is the vote here that says both of those taxes are unconstitutional. That there has to be uniformity in the enforcement, uniformity in the availability of your constitutional rights, and taxing the Second Amendment is not how we do that.
Well, you know what's also interesting in it is, and I think a lot of what they dealt with was the motivation behind it. And I think this is where they sunk themselves. Was they literally, as they campaigned for it and as they pushed it, that look, this was meant to be this was specifically meant to dissuade or restrict an individual's right to keep and bear arms. They didn't want people buying guns. They didn't want people buying ammo, and they wanted to discourage the exercising of a constitutional right. It was their own words that literally got used against them, and that's what I thought was so phenomenal about it.
Yeah, and we've seen similar going on out in Seattle and in King County out there, where they've put a tax on it, but they didn't call it a tax. Remember, it was it's an education fee for gun violence or something along those lines.
Or they wanted it to be a usury tax, meaning they wanted to tax the they wanted to tax the business. But what does business do with the tax?
Yeah, right.
They pass it on to the customer.
Yes,
it becomes it's part of the cost of doing business.
Yeah,
which, by the way, Jen Psaki believes is just utterly cannot believe that businesses would do that. It's like,
she just had a birthday too. I think she's 42, by the way.
Oh, God. She's such a child.
She is a child. She needs a spanking. Let's see. A spokesman for Cook County president said Thursday that they are disappointed in the ruling and will work to determine the next steps. Listen to this quote, Craig. "It is no secret that gun violence continues to be an epidemic in our region." Well, we know that, right? Yeah, it's gun violence. That's the problem, Craig. It's not people violence, it's gun violence.
Right.
But then it goes on to say, we continue to maintain that the cost of a bullet should reflect, even if just a little bit, the cost of the violence. That ultimately is not possible without the bullet.
No, see, violence... Here's the thing: violence doesn't happen if criminals are not on the streets. If you would just stop letting criminals out, if you would stop decriminalizing crime, I mean, you would hold people accountable for when they commit crimes, you would probably see a lot less violence. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Listen, the only deterrent that they have right now for committing violent crimes in Chicago is getting shot by somebody else with a gun. That's it. There's no other deterrent except the bullet itself. They don't have to worry about what the police are going to do. The police now are not shooting anybody anymore, right? They're staying inside the precincts. And if
we all know Lori Lightfoot doesn't want to have anything to do with putting people in jail.
Oh, easy. Don't say her name anymore. If the
Lori Lightfoot,
don't do it. Don't. You know what happens when you say it a third time. Don't do it.
Okay, I will not say it a third time.
Okay, yeah. Don't
what name are we not supposed to say a third time?
I don't say which name. Which name are we talking about?
I don't know. I'm just okay.
I'm not saying it. You're not getting.
Okay.
You're not tricking me.
We're good.
To say Lori Lightfoot.
Ah!
Damn it!
I thought you weren't going to say it.
She looks like she's always angry at herself.
I thought you weren't going to say it, man.
She's like, why did I have that big coffee with lactose in it? I know I'm lactose intolerant. Why did I? She's like she's gripping, right? It's that moment she grips before she decides if she has to run to the bathroom.
Exactly. You know? She's giving whoever she's talking to the evil eye.
That's evil eye. Ooh. The evil bulging eyes.
All right, she is now gone.
Yeah, I just couldn't laugh harder at this. We continue to maintain that the cost of a bullet should reflect, even if just a little bit, the cost of the violence. That ultimately is not possible without the bullet.
Well, and it's
it's the bullet's fault, Craig.
Right,
and if we make the bullet 1 cent more expensive, it won't fly through the stolen gun of the bad guy who you released from jail without bond.
Look, I have 50 of them sitting right here on my desk, right? They've been on my desk probably as long as we've been doing this show, dating back to March. And guess what?
Right.
Not one bullet has been violent towards me.
There have been some evil thoughts, but no actions.
Clearly no action. And there's bourbon, there's alcohol here, and once again, no violence. Harsh words, and yet no violence.
And how you do it? You get some sort of bubble around you. You know. Oh well. All right. Well, let's leave the good city, the good folks of Chicago. Go Cubs, and go down to our parting shot, Craig, because it's that time of the year coming up. We really, really need to take some safety precautions. That time of year I'm talking about is Halloween.
Yes, and during Halloween, it's very, very important. You know, trick-or-treating is not as big a thing as it used to be, but some folks still do it. Some folks do things like at community events. They like what they call trunk and treat or stuff like that. Different things, whether it's at churches or community centers. But the point is, kids are still going out and they're getting candy, right?
This is the season. I mean, listen,
yes.
Trick-or-treating is made for COVID. Everybody has to wear a mask, okay? It should be getting a resurgence, you know?
Exactly. They knew it was prophetic, right?
So, that's right. It's the whole Hallmark. It's a Hallmark Halloween conspiracy. That's what COVID is. It's to get everybody back in masks. So if you
just check the mask, make sure it's not made by Hallmark.
There you go.
So, but the one thing you got to be careful of, you have to make sure to check all of your kids' Halloween candy, because there's always rumors. You never know what people are going to put or hide in Halloween candy. I mean, first of all, the best candy to get are those like the full size candy bars.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's been discovered that some people are actually hiding certain things in the full size candy bars. Inside the chocolatey caramel white nougat goodness, you can find critical race theory.
What?
So y'all be careful. Make sure you check the candy. Make sure there's no critical race theory in it. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, critical race theory is a thing that's in a law school. It's not actually in a candy bar. Well, guess what? It's not supposed to be in our schools either, but it is.
I think if you look on the other side, the left side of the candy bar, I can see a vaccination in it. So looks like the needle sticking out there. So yeah, critical race theory on one side and vaccinations on the other.
That's pretty much what all the parents now are angry about when they go to school board meetings. I'll just say this, and I just once again, and we're dealing with this in our school district, not so much with the kids, but with the staff. The fact is folks, if anyone tells you that they're not trying to teach critical race theory in schools, they are part right and they are part wrong. They're part right. Well, they're part wrong. We'll start with where they're part wrong. They're part wrong because critical race theory historically has always been this mode of thinking, this thing that was taught, obscure thing that was taught in law schools. And it was supposed to be a way to look at the world. It's not. It's literally Marxism rebranded as a theory. But what they've done is that they're not actually teaching critical race theory in schools or pushing it in schools or in training. What they're doing is they're taking a bunch of pieces of it. Kind of like if you took all the pieces of a Ford Mustang and you reassembled it somewhere else, it may or may not necessarily be a Ford Mustang, but it looks like a Ford Mustang and it runs like a Ford Mustang. So anyway, it's there, and I'm telling you right now, pay attention to what your kids are learning in school. Pay attention to what, and by the way, you can say something and you can speak up about it, speak up against it. It is anti-American, and it needs to be stopped.
Stop it, and don't let your kids eat it in their candy.
No. And if they try to tell them that this is something that they need to be, and this has to be there, well, you can just tell them that, they can consume a bag of Richards.
That's right. Consume a satchel of Richards.
A satchel of Richards. There you go. Mikey, how about a shout out to our sponsors?
Hey, let's say hello to our good friends at Grid Defense, Guerrilla Machining, and the California Republican Assembly.
Yes, folks, make sure you visit them. Visit our sponsors. And by the way, earlier, the first story we talked about, the whole Facebook suppressing, this is the reason why we asked you guys to like, subscribe, and share, because unfortunately, Facebook is not helping us to get the word out. By the way, neither is YouTube or Google. So the only way in which we can get the word out is if like-minded people who enjoy watching this program, actually do it. So if you haven't subscribed to The Rundown, subscribe to The Rundown. If you haven't shared it on your page or shared it with your friends, please do so that they can like, subscribe, and share. And the more people who do that, the more influence we have and the more our stuff is pushed out there. So we need your help. Share, subscribe, subscribe. Encourage your friends to do the same.
Make it happen, Captain.
All right. Y'all take care, and we'll see you tomorrow on Taco Tuesday.
Yummy.
Peace.